year to year to year. A lot much easier to explain to your students when you have that rather than when you come into the classroom and you do not have that. Now, before I continue any further, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Owo Patrick Ekonga. I'm a software developer and a tutor at Exquitec Education Technology. And thank you all once again for joining this program, this teachers training sponsored by the Teachers Cafe. Now, let's look at. I have a lot of things I want to show to you today, but before we move into that, I would like to just give a kind of preliminary introduction to um, visualization and teaching. Why should we even bother with it? Well, as you can see, visualization is useful to us because it's helpful for the student as much as it's helpful for the teacher. For the students, when you come to them and you show them a presentation or you show them an image or you show them a chart, when you come to your class and you come there with an instructional material, you come with this graph for them to look at, it helps them understand what you are showing them. Imagine if I was to come into a classroom and I just started explaining to them one theory whatsoever, and maybe they have to sit down there for 2 hours and my students are just seated there trying to listen to me explain whatever topic it is. Let me use the water cycle that I've been using as an example. Water moves from when you pour water on the ground or you have water in the lakes and then it evaporates, it goes to the sky and then it falls down again as rain and all that. And some students might be sitting down there, especially maybe you have these kids in primary 3, you have these kids in primary 4. They'll most likely be sitting down there and be looking at you and be wondering, what is this person talking about? What is this man trying to say? But at the very same time, when you bring or you show them a chart about this very same thing, it's different for them because all of a sudden they can see it and they can understand. Um to to analyze this, I actually even have a chart set up somewhere. Excuse me, let me bring that up. So I believe you can still see my screen. So as you can see from this chart that I have on here, we have a pyramid of learning. This pyramid of learning basically explains to us as teachers how the average retention rate occurs in a student. So as a student, there's the traditional way of taking a class and there's the active way of going about the class. That is the involved way of going about the class. And of course, we always do not have the time for as much involvement in class as sometimes we want. For instance, if we were to say we want to have a classroom discussion in the 40 minutes that is allocated to us for whatever lesson we are teaching, and we still need to cover the lesson plan, cover the curriculum, and every other thing that needs to be covered for the term. We tend to have this problem when you go, how do we do this? If you have the children all sit together and start talking, by the time begin to go back and forth, 20 minutes is gone, 30 minutes is gone, and we really cannot cover all there is to cover. And this shows us that sometimes we are actually limited to the traditional way of teaching. And in the traditional way of teaching, it shows that every time you take a lecture, only 5% of what is taught in that lecture do you actually retain. Then we also have reading. If you manage to read, um, sorry, if you manage to read, you would retain 10% of that. But when it comes to audio visuals, with audio visuals, we are able to retain up to 20% of what we are teaching or what is being explained to us, which means if we introduce audio and visuals, or if we introduce visuals, which is where the visualizations fall into place. If we introduce this to students, we actually help increase their rate of retention. So it's the reason why when we all started or during our teaching practice, they tried as much as possible to imbibe into us the habits
That's
of
over.
the
Abrasive
material
communicate, principal.
which we nowadays to
I'm quick
the
with through to the
younger generation of teachers. But this lecture is, of course, not about instructional materials or the likes. It's basically about the advantages of the visualization and what visualizations we can actually use as teachers to make our work a lot easier. And to do that, we have the advantages it shows for the students. As a student, we get improved comprehension. The moment a teacher comes into our classroom and is showing us a graph about what he's trying to explain to us, it makes it easier for us to understand or quickly grasp the concept. It makes it easier for us to look at the concept and assimilate it, imbibe it, and maybe even many of us probably have preconceived or have seen this kind of information somewhere else. But we might not realize it is the thing our teacher is talking about, and then they show it to us, and it's easier. Now, we also have increased engagement. The very fact that you can visualize something, the very fact you can see something, it's easy for you to comment about it. It's easy for you to say something about it, which means even the weakest students in our classroom can actually look at the graphs or look at whatever is being put on the screen and say, uncle, I understand, or uncle, I think, which is what we want. And like I've mentioned earlier, there is the enhanced retention. Human brains tend to process images very much faster than we process text, and visual information is stored long time in memory, which is the things that we see and the things that the things that are shown to us tend to stay with us much longer than the things we are told or the things we read somewhere. And another thing is we have a very diverse classroom, and nobody can actually argue against that. And because we have a very diverse classroom, not every student is covered by the present and current learning style. But when you introduce visualization, it helps broaden the scope, and it helps pull in a little more attention from the students with a different means of learning, because now they can also look at what you are showing them and they can also understand. Now, but as teachers, why does it matter that outside of the classroom, visualization can also be useful for between when you are communicating with your peers, when you are talking to the principal? Imagine you want to use a different way of teaching a classroom for whatever reason that is, and you are trying to explain it to the principal. If you come to the principal and you have this beautiful presentation that you made, see, this thing has shown that, or in my classroom, I have 20% of my students that are like this, another 10% of my students that are like this, another 5% of my students that is like this. And because of that, this current way of which I'm going about it, it's probably not the best. Maybe we should try something else. Maybe we should use something else. Maybe we can do something else. You will begin to notice most likely not just a change in attitude, but you might actually see the headmaster or headmistress more adjustable to your opinion. Now, at the end of the day, visual reports, they actually do foster transparency, allowing stakeholders, that's the teachers, the administrators, to make comments. Think of it, the next time you are going to a PTA meeting and you need to explain you need to explain school decisions, classroom decisions, and you have to come in and pull in a graph. A good example is now most schools are being advised to implement technology into their classrooms, and
into
you are
their
trying to
classroom.
implement technology, or you are trying to explain to your parents, oh, this is the reason why we need to increase, because there's no way you can say you want to implement technology into a classroom. You will not be looking into increasing the cost of the school fees or adding the technology to the curriculum. And imagine going to a parent and saying, we want to add the parents will be like, this school, money, money, money. All they like is money. They just want to collect money from us. But imagine coming to it and you have something to show them, and you're going, oh, it was tied in this school and their students had 20% increase. Oh, look at how they scored in their WAEC. Look at how they scored in their jam. They are doing better because they included technology. And at the very same time, WAEC has made this use of technology vital and necessary for the writing of the exams. We cannot escape it anymore. But we cannot also say we want to implement it if we do not have the right finances. implement it. And this is our plan, as you can see from the visualization that I have on the board here. This is how we plan to go about it. And we are thinking in the next 4 years, 3 years, this current class of students will be this current class of students will be that. Then it's beautiful. Another example is imagine coming to the PT with a graph of your students' behavior over the course of the term to prove to support a different learning style, or a day doesn't need more homework. That's another example. Like what is said here. Imagine we have parents that come to school and then they're like, "You did not give my children enough homework," and the children is probably having homework from basic science, having homework from home economics, social studies, civic, and the rest, and they still want more assignments. And you're like, this is not healthy for the child, and you might be trying to explain, but they will not understand. But imagine pulling up a graph and you show them, okay, look at this country, look at this state, look at this. This is the amount of homework they're giving this state. This is the amount of homework they're giving this state. This, look at what their results are like. Look at what their results are like. It's probably going to make you feel bolder when you give that presentation. You're like, I have data to support my fact. I'm not just talking. I know where I'm coming from. I know what I'm saying. Right? Now, so the key takeaway of this is that data is not just about numbers, it's evidence. And all these records that we have are very useful. From our attendance records to the scores we have in assignments and participation mark, all these things are useful. And the way in which we come to put them together and display them is also very useful. And without even really going far, let's just look at our register. If you think about it, the when you look at the register, it has all the small boxes there, and when the student is around, you tick the student. When the student is absent, you tick the student. You could it's in its own way, it's actually a very beautiful visualization too, because by looking at it you can actually tell the week in which school did not there was no school that day, because the whole place will probably be colored in red. The students who did not come for the whole semester and the whole term, because you would see all his records just going zeros and zeros and zeros, and and you can use that and look at it and go, why are there not enough students coming to school today? What is happening? Why are students missing? Oh, we chase them for school fees. Okay, because of the number of students that are going, I don't think this might be a good idea. It helps just the register in the way it's designed. It helped us make better decision. There is nothing stopping us from just writing the student's name and just writing in front of it absent, absent, present, present, absent, absent, present, present, absent, absent. But the way the register is crafted, it shows you that whoever crafted it did not just craft it for accessibility. It also crafted with a kind of visualization in mind. That at the end of the day, one should be able to just glance at your register and really understand what is going on. Now, this original program was supposed to be both a physical and an online program, but because of the we are all in different places, we just had to move it entirely virtual. So we have some group works that are here, and I don't think we are actually going to have to. We are going to be able to go through it the way we normally should. But the ideal thing is we're supposed to, as a teacher, you're supposed to pick up a pen and pick up a paper and just jot down the type of data you generate in the class. What kind of data do you think your classroom creates? We have different from attendance data to score data to number of girls in the class over boys to number of students with textbooks. So just think about all the data that can be generated in the class, and can you differentiate them into the type of data that they are? And based on the data you have in the class, how do you think it's going to be the best way to represent that data? If maybe you're showing it to someone coming from outside, maybe an external supervisor, or you're showing it to the new principal that has been transferred to the school, how best do you think this is the best way we can actually present those data? So you don't have to show it to me, and you don't have to you just have to pick up a pen and paper at this point and just jot something down, because it's going to be very useful going on. So I think we can take maybe 2 minutes to do that. So please just take a minute and just jot down the kind of data you generate in your class. And because that's all visualization is about. If we do not have data, we cannot visualize. And if we cannot visualize, and how do we visualize? What do we visualize if we do not have the data to visualize it? So please, let's do that. So I'll let everybody do that for Another minute. We'll continue at 5:22. All right. So as not to waste so much of our time, I believe writing down the types of data, we should have done that, or we should be done with that. So let's look at the advantages of visualization over raw numbers. There is a cognitive load to it. That is the stress
Yes, so what have you learned from that?
process of your
What
brain.
does that
The
help
brain
you?
is used to handling visuals because we have eyes. Our eyes is always showing us things. Every moment we are seeing something, both when we are on the streets, when we are at home. The only time we are actually not truly ever seeing anything, or our brain is not processing visual, is maybe when we close our eyes to sleep. Every other time we are generating one visual, the world is generating one visual from the car that is speeding on the road to the students in the class that are passing their pens to the person who is passing outside the classroom that you are probably keeping an eye on because you think is a strange person. The world is generating the visuals and we are always seeing it, which means we process 60,000 visuals much faster than we process any other thing. And raw numbers on their own, they require an extra heavy lifting because they are not visuals. It's easier to just look at it. You can even see from the graph we have here. It's easy for us to look at the visuals we have at the side, and they seem to make more sense to us than the numbers that we have at on the other side. Imagine looking at this. We see this maybe in our cars, or we see this somewhere, or you can tell that the moment it gets into the yellow zone, you know, oh, we are probably having a problem. Oh, I'm going too high. Than if you were just generating raw numbers. If these numbers were just coming in 60, 10, 20, 5, 4, 3, it doesn't really make
Renaka,
sense to us.
Ejiboka,
It takes the brain to sit down and really think, what am I doing? What is this? How do I go about dealing it? But when you see a graph, it's very easy for us to understand, and we're not going to be stressing ourselves. Then, of course, instant patterns, trend and outliers pop out immediately in a chart, whereas they remain hidden if you see them in a spreadsheet. When you have data appearing as a graph, it's much easier for you to just look at the data and figure out what is happening than if you were looking at a spreadsheet. It's easy for a graph showing the failure rate and the passing rate in a classroom will probably be easy to read than for you to pick everybody in the classroom and start going how many people scored below whatever your half mark is, maybe 50, maybe it's 60, how many, maybe it's 40, and you go, oh, how many people scored below 40, how many of them are in the class, what is the percentage of them in the class, comparing that to just looking at a graph and just well understanding it instantly. Now, visualization tells the story we need, so it makes it quick and it makes it better for us to make a informed decision. When we see visuals, we can look at it snappily and know, okay, this is the way we go about it from here. But when we see numbers, it is we probably spend half the time thinking about the numbers. And let's not deceive ourselves. Not all of us, even as teachers, like mathematics as much as we would want to believe we should. We don't all seem to enjoy it that much. So imagine having a graph in front of you and doing it. Now, in the data cycle, what we need to do when it comes to our data is we need to collect the data because at the end of the day, there is no way we can visualize any good data set. There is no way we can decide the data if we do not collect it. If we do not collect this data, we cannot say this is the data. This is how we use it. It's like making a decision without having data. It's like going into an argument and they're like, oh, yeah, proof where you are coming from, and you're like, it's like that. Just believe me. Right, I remember there was a while back. I was talking to a foreign friend of mine, and we were discussing something, and it reminded me of an article I had read, but it was a while back, so I couldn't remember where or when I had read the article. And we were discussing, and he was pulling up these articles. He was stating, okay, go and read this. I will send you the link. Oh, go and read this. I will send you the link. And me myself, and suddenly I remembered my own that she myself, I've read something somewhere. Let me also. So I said, okay, fine. How about this? And it's like, where is that? So that I can also go and look at it. And I was like, it is not article like that, but I do not remember where the article is. So imagine that. So there's that thing about data. When you have the data and you can actually show the data, it's like a whole different thing. It's the whatever decision, whatever you are saying, you can actually stand your ground and say, oh, this is how we go about it. But it's not just about collecting data. We can all collect data, but we need to be able to collect the data properly. And after we collect the data, we need to organize the data. And only when we have properly organized data can we visualize the data. And after your data has been visualized, then any decision you wish to make, you can make those decisions from the data. Now, this brings us to choosing the right kind of chart. Choosing the right kind of chart. There are different types of charts, and these different types of charts are used for different things, or they are better at doing different things. A type of chart could be used to do something else, but at the end of the day, each of them have their strengths, they have where they shine. Right? It's like being in the. Let's even think about our common cutlery. We have spoons, we have knives, we have forks, and of course, I can eat spaghetti with a spoon. I definitely cannot eat spaghetti with a knife. But eating my spaghetti with a fork is actually probably one of the most enjoyable way to eat my spaghetti. Another one is that there are times in which you don't even need to use the cutlery. It's like trying to eat your small eba or fufu, and then all of a sudden you come out with a fork, and you're like, I want to use fork to eat it. Even the people sitting around you look at you and they're like, what is happening with this person? What is all this? Right? So even when it comes to visualization and it comes to charts, they are the right charts for the right for the right situation. The right kind of data will tell you the type of chart to use. And here are some examples. As you can see, in this case, we are using a bar chart, and bar charts are very good for comparisons, right? So if you have a comparison like, okay, girls and boys, the student in class A versus the student in class C, how did they score in maths and all that? A bar chart is very good for that kind of comparison. Now we have another one. We have a chart that is like when you have like there's a time there's a time series analysis to it, right? That means this thing is depending on whatever variable that seems to be moving, like time, like the way the progress is last week and the way progress is this week might be different from how it's going to be next week or 2 weeks ago or last month and the rest. And this is the kind of place where a line chart comes in because you get to see that progression as it moves. Let's look at this. We can see, oh, we have class A males, we have class A females, we have class B females. And look at it, we can see the chart showing, oh, on their average score and by the week, everybody started low on the very first week, but by the 10th week, we've had the males in class A scoring above 80 and almost 90. Now let's look at the females. You can see the females are also progressing. They started with an average of, well, this is wrong. This should be just 5%, with an average of 5%, and they seem to be also progressing upward. But you can also see that we also have these red ones who, for whatever reason, between the 6th week and this should be 7. Sorry about the errors in the design. So between the 6th week and the 9th week, there seems to be a dip. So this is the whole beauty of a line chart. You can see trends around a long period of time. It's easy to display trends around a long period of time, but they're not the only ones. We also have pie charts that is used to show proportionality, right? Oh, let's look at the exam. At the end of the exam overall, 75% of the student passed, 25% of the student failed. Now, of course, this is not a beautiful pie chart to actually explain that, but you can look at it and go, oh, based on this, I know very well that if 75% of that's one third of my class passed, what can I do about the remaining? Okay, what can I do about the remaining one third since um, one fourth? Sorry, since three out of four of them would pass the exam. So what happens to the last student? Is it that they're not reading enough? Is it that they're not preparing well? Is it something on their end? Is it something on the school end? A good example is a few years back when I was writing a university exam, and during the exam, I remember the system kept going off. And of course, they did not. We complained, oh, the systems are going up, this and that, but there was nothing they could do. The exam had already been stationed to happen that day. The exam was going to happen that day anyway. But when the results will get to the Senate and they will look at the proportionality of those who passed over those who failed, and they're like, what is happening? Why did these people fail these exams? And they went, I just heard about the the background noise. Let me see if there's something I can do about it. Give me a moment. I hope this is helpful. I hope this is helpful. But thank you for the feedback, Sudaka. Yes, Sudaka. Thank you very much for the feedback. So, like I was saying, with this when we wrote the exam, because they were able to look at it and they were able to see the way we performed in the exam, they were able to tell, oh, something went wrong during this exam. What they do to make it easier? Of course, they had two options for us. One was to rewrite the exam, and another one was to just raise our scores blanket wise. They went with the second. They went with the later. But they were able to make informed decisions because they were able to look at representation of their data, a representation that they probably would not have had if all they got was people scoring, if they just saw numbers 20, 30, this on a spreadsheet. Then there are also distributions, right, where you can see things in range. We can have histograms displaying information in range. Okay, 0 to 20 is weak. We don't have a lot of that. Everybody seems to be in average, somewhere between 50 to 60. And then we also have a very good number of students, roughly between 35 to 40, who are performing very, very well. So this is a good example. Now, when it comes to technical tools, originally I planned two tools for this class, for this program, but I thought, you know what, we can actually do better than that. And by the end of the day, I decided that I was going to present to you five tools in total to actually help you out when it comes to visualization. And the first of these tools is actually Google Form. And in as much as we don't really think much of it, Google Form is actually a very, very good tool for presentation. And through that, I had the opportunity of working with a form. So let me pull one of those forms out for us so that we can look at it together. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, firstly, there's nothing special about this. I just went online to my Google account. I opened the Google Forms. So if you want to do that, you can just search for Google Forms. Just Google it. And for every one of us, we already have a Google account, so it's very easy to come by. You just go to the Google Forms and you sign in if you're not signed in. If you're signed in, you probably see a page. Give me a moment. You'll probably see a page looking like this. It just tells you, welcome to Google Forms, and then it shows you all the different forms. And I had to create a mock form for this because it's we needed something to actually experiment with. And it's a very simple form. So let's look at the form. The questions are not actually even any good. So we have what was your score? What was your exam score? Sorry, I'm on the admin mode, so actually let me edit the form. So, like it says, what was your exam score? How prepared were you for the exams? When did you write the exam? What was it a great experience? What exam did you write? So, and you can see it has the answers. This is saying, pick anything between 0 and 101. That is for your score. How many hours of preparation do you have? You are going to pick anything between the range of 0. I did not prepare for the exam, and 10. Oh, I prepared 10 hours before I wrote the exam. When did you write the exam? Just fill in the month, fill in the year, and everything. And of course, this is a very simple Google form. So if I want to add something to it, all I just need to do is click to add a question, and I'll type in a question. What is your name? And I can select an option. Automatically, even Google is trying to help me because it sees it's a question, so it's giving me a short answer. If this is not what I want, maybe I want them to write a paragraph, I can click write a paragraph. I can ask them to use a multiple choice, check boxes, and the rest. So you just prepare your Google form and you can give it to your class, to your students. You could probably even tell them to take it and share it at home, have their dads and their moms log in. Maybe you are teaching them something like the symbols of our national unity in civic education, and you go, okay, fine, this is a form about the symbols of our national unity. Take it to your parents. Let's see how they will answer these questions. What are you supposed to do when you see the national flag? What should you do when you hear the national anthem? What should you do to the currency? Those kind of questions that you probably see in a civic in this examination. Um, and we have that. And of course, when you're done with it, you can just share the link and you can manage who has access to the link. So as you can see, my link is saved as anyone with access to this link can actually answer it. And I already have 17 mock responses. And the beautiful thing about Google Sheets is automatically it tries to give us a kind of report to work with. It's showing us different kinds of reports. You can see it's showing us charts on how people chose when it came to maths, how people chose when it came to everything. And that is beautiful. But that's not just that. We also, Google provides not just the forms, they also provide Google Sheets, which means if you want, you can have your students view this, and then when they're with it, you export it into the Google Sheet and you view it from the Google Sheet, right? Another option is you can just take your Excel and just it is free, so it's not something you have to worry about. And when you upload and then pick it up, and we have the information like this. What is your name? You can see the new column I added, and we have this column that I guess I must have mistakenly created. Now, the advantage of it is that we can pick the data that we want to work with. For instance, I can pick these two rows that I want to work with. And after highlighting the rows, all I need to do is just come to insert and I'll say insert a chart. And if those rows are compatible, it builds a chart for us and it gives us different types of charts that we can work with. So we can switch between the charts. For instance, we can go with a line chart, which isn't doing anything. We can also we can try different types of charts. We can try a bar chart. We can try a pie chart. But I guess I picked poor examples data. So let's do it intentionally. So let's look at a chart of let's just have the scores, the exam scores, and let's highlight the exam scores. And once again, we come to insert and we come to chart, and let's look at what that will look like. And okay, this is the exam scores. You can see we have people scoring hundreds. We can look at it in different forms. We can look at it in a scatter plot. We can look at it as histograms and the rest. And the beautiful thing about it is when we click on the chart, edit the chart, of course. When we click on the chart, if this is not the type of chart we prefer, we can always make adjustment to it. If you picked the wrong axis, you can change what the axis will look like. You can include series, you can do whatever it is you want to do. And of course, the while the Google Forms is quite great, all of those tools are limited in one way or the other, and they're limited to the type of data that you have. Because if your data is not crafted properly or your data is not good enough, then the kind of chart it's going to provide for you will be limited by that, right? You are limited by the type of, at the end of the day, it's garbage in, garbage out. So if you do prepare good data for it, you'll most likely get very good results. So this is another example. I can pick up another role and I can just make a chart out of it. And we can, okay, right. So this is a chart of when they did the exam, and you can see the number of people that did, the number of occurrences of between 7/1/2027 to the first of 2028. I don't know who wrote the exam in the future, but when you look at it, you can actually see, okay, we have more people writing this exam in the future than people even writing it in 2026. Well, it's fine. We can look at the data and we can view it. We can also try it in another format, for instance, or we can display it as bubble charts. But each of the charts, not all charts work that way, because some are going to show you, oh, you need it to be like this before you can use. I need my data in this format for me to be able to work with. So let me select this. And I think we should be able to make a column chart out of this. Yes. So now this is another good example. So we have a column chart that says count of what exam they wrote. So you can see we have more people that wrote the computer science exam than we have people that wrote the maths exam, and the people that wrote the maths and the English exam seem to be almost on par. So this is good information. So without even having time to go through my data one by one, I could just look at the chart and know, it seems a lot of people wrote the computer science exam, but not many people came for the maths exam. So this is the way we go about using the Google Forms. So it's quite easy. You just create the forms, you hand it to them, they fill the forms, you get the responses. From there, you actually get information about their responses. But if that is not enough, you can always export it into a Google Sheet. And when you export it into a Google Sheet, you can make as many charts. In fact, you can make multiple charts of it. So I can make a chart, how the timestamp affects the scores. So I can make a chart of how the timestamp affects the scores, and I can just make another chart of it. And of course, I have to separate them from each other. Right? So then we can look at the chart. Okay. So which means everywhere between first 2026, this is how well the exam was. This was their score, and this is how it works, right? So we have at 100 people that scored 100 and people that scored 0. So we have a lot of people. You can see a lot of people seem to be scoring better the more time progresses. So this is a very beautiful example. But at the end of the day, let me close this chat. This is not the only option we have. We also have Canva for educators. Now we all know what Canva is. Canva is the design platform. So we can just go and search Canva for educator. Canva also is free. So open Canva education, and um, it's asking me to get the file, and all. We don't need that. All we need to do is just, well, canva.com. And let's give it a moment to open up. Thank you. All right, fine. Now, as you can see, we have it asking us, what do you want? Do you want a presentation? Do you want social media, video, document, whiteboard, or spreadsheet? I'll just select the spreadsheet so I can work with it. And right, the I mentioned it's very important for us to have very good. So with my previous data, I'll just go back and copy a line. So I already have this. I might as well just copy it. So I'll copy from my Excel spreadsheet and I'll bring it into Canva. And I can paste it. And now that I have the data, Based on this, I can just try the magic chart, and automatically it shows me the best kind of chart I have, which in this case I can select the pie chart, and let's look at the data for the pie chart. Oh, we have 9.4 in this. We have 9.4. We have 5.3%, 6% and this at that's 2 p.m. Then we have people who took the exam at 2:08, and this is how much 9.4% took the exam at 208, and this is the percentage of their score. So this is a very beautiful chart. And like I mentioned, when we select the data, we have multiple options. So we have bar charts, we can look at those. We have funnel charts, we can look at that. So the beautiful thing about using most of these visualization tools is you do not actually have to be an expert in using it. You just have to come and look at it and figure out which one works for you best. And the one that works for you best is the one you will most likely use. And if you like it, you select it. If you do not like it, you just return it back and it's gone. And if you think, oh, you need a different kind of data, you select your data from wherever it is. You can create, as I've created, in this case, I've created my data in the Google spreadsheet, but I can create my data anywhere in Microsoft Excel. I can create my data even in Canva itself and just use it from there. So in this case, I'll just paste the extra line, and you can see it's giving me that, oh, the best option you can use to display this is a tree map. So I will just select the tree map and let's look at how it looks like. And the tree map is showing that, oh, we have more people that selected yes than people that selected no. I can delete that and select another one based on the the whole room. So I can say, oh, I want it in circles, I want it in pie chart. So let's try a pie chart. And once again, it shows us that, oh, there are more people selecting yes than selecting no. So imagine we are in a class and all of a sudden everybody is done with done with it, and you are looking at, okay, we want them to answer a question. A good example I can think of is, imagine you are teaching, you are to teach history and you find yourself discussing the Civil War, and before you start the Civil War, you ask a question like, do you think it's a good idea, or you think it's a good option to have actually fought the war? Before you even take the training before you even teach them at all, you can say, okay, fine, based on their previous knowledge on wars in general or conflict, how would they answer? And just give them a form. Everybody else fill the form, and based on that, you can actually just do your presentation and figure out how well they respond based on the form. Now, like I mentioned, so we've shown ourselves two different way of going about it. Now, the third option we have is data wrapper. So, like with this, you can just come online and you search for data wrapper, and it's also a free tool to use. So if you click on data wrapper, it opens up and you click start creating. So data wrapper is quite easy to use. The first thing you do is you upload your data, and after you upload your data, you describe the data and every other information you want to put there. You visualize the data, you publish it, or you embed it wherever you want to use it. So let me show that to you. As you can see, it has opened up. So select the data. So if you have an Excel, you can put it there. If you want, you can connect it to Google table. You can link an external data. So you can copy and paste the table. So let's try connecting it to Google spreadsheet. So we'll come here and we click on the share button. Just anybody with the link, and I copy the link. Based on that, I return back here and I paste the link. And after getting the link, we proceed to that place where it looks through my data. You can see it has brought in my data, and it's like, oh, the first row is label, the data is and it wants me to please make sure that data wrapper interprets your data correctly. In the tables, in the table, number columns should be shown in blue, date column should be shown in green, text should be shown in black. A red cell indicates a problem. So we can scan and see if we have any red cell. And since we do not have a red cell, we don't seem to have a problem there. So we can hide this column from visualization. That's my error column. I don't want it there. Also, I can click on this column also and just hide it from visualization because we do not want to make use of that. You can sort your view. How do you want it? Oh, I want you to show me by timestamp, by this, but we'll leave all of that and we just move on. We can choose to add column. We can transpose it, that is, make the columns row and make the rows column. We have all of that option with data wrapper. Like I mentioned, it's free, so you just go online and you just search for data wrapper, and you can also work with that. Then after that, it begins to ask you, okay, how do you want to visualize the data? And you have all these options, which means you wait for it. And in fact, if you can see, it's giving us exactly the same kind of graph that we got in our spreadsheet, in our Google spreadsheet. So we can change it and try other options. It's a little slower, but we can switch between them. Sorry about that. So we can switch between them. We can get group bars that shows how they relate, split bars, bullet bars. So we have different types of data, and it's highly dependent on the way you describe, you check your data and what you select, right? We have the chart type. We can refine the data. Oh, I want the outer bar to be made of this. I want the inner bars to be made of this. I want you to select the column timestamp. I want you to replace country code with flag. That's an option you can go with. I want you to show the color, the legend in color. I want you to stack the labels. So this is all about how you choose to present your data and make it look good. I want to annotate. That means this is information I want to add. This is my sample chart. So we can do all we want to do with this. And when we think we have done what we want, the next step is to just proceed, and we can. The next step is for us to just proceed and complete. So, of course, because I'm not logged in this situation, it's asking you to log in and embed it so we can create our account. We log in. It's free to, you can see, you can see it on the website. It's free for you to just create your account so that you can just log in and display your chart. Another option for those of us who are not interested in doing it, we can just take a screenshot. If you think to go about the direction of logging in is too stressful, you just take a screenshot of it and you embed it in wherever you want to embed it, maybe your Microsoft Word or whatever documentation you have. That is also the problem. The and last, there is another option that I originally had in mind, which was Plickers, but it wasn't behaving the way I wanted. I think it wasn't as good, so I switched it with something else, which is Mentimeter. So of course we can try Mentimeter. Now, to use Mentimeter, you actually have to. So I would just log in and go home. Now, the cool thing about Mentimeter is the idea of Mentimeter is you are supposed to use it in the classroom. Or of course, it gives us participation in a month, which means if you are using the free version of it, you have to be careful with how you use it. Let me give you a good example. Mentimeter helps us. They give us these options of what output, open end questions. It helps make class This is for interactive visual information. So imagine, for instance, I want to get a response on how this class is going. So I can create I can just pick up a sample poll And let's give it a second. So edit it. So ask, are you enjoying the class? And edit the options, have a yes and have a no, right? And I can show the response. Do I want to show the response as percentages? Do I want to show the responses as simple pie charts, donut charts, as pie charts, as scatter, either scatter plots or clusters. So whatever, however we want to show, um, do I want to have a correct answer? How do I want people to respond? I want instant responses. I want responses statistics. I want private responses, right? Do I want comments? And when all of this is done, I can just start the presentation of it. And now it is live. So for anybody who wants to join me, just go to menti.com and enter this code, and you can actually respond to this chat. So please, let's try that out. Let's um, go to menti.com and let's try the code. I would copy the code. Let me see, participation being copied. I'll paste it in the group chat for us so you can just join and just let's just try this out, because all this thing about classroom participation with virtuals and you are not able to actually participate. So we have only 50 people can 50 or 45 people can join. So we have a limited number to use, but please, if you're interested, you can. I can see nobody has joined yet. So please, if you feel like, you can just go to menti.com. Oh, yes, I've gotten a response. Somebody has responded, oh, we are enjoying the class. I didn't even spell class correctly. So one person has responded, and you can respond to him. Now the fine. Now before we go forward, I don't want too many people responding to this, so that I can show you another type of presentation. So I can show you another type of presentation. So I'll stop it and show us the last type of presentation. And this last type of presentation is called a word cloud. So let me use a blank word cloud. I'll pick a blank word cloud. Now in this one, it's almost going to be the same. It's almost going to be the same thing. But what I want us to do with this is I want us to enter our name. So enter your name enter your name. And so I will leave this open for a while for each and every one of us to try and respond. So we can have an extra label, we can have extra questions, but I don't want us to stress ourselves with that. And I'll just start the presentation. And of course, let's see. Oh, my code has changed, so I'll copy the participation link once more and I'll share with you. Now, please let's just try. You just enter your name and let's see how it pops up on the screen. Right. So I would start with myself. Let me also join in on the phone. My name, or as you can see, I've submitted my response and there it is on the screen. So you can also see my response. So yes, there it goes. So just continue. Can you see that? Yes, that's how it is. So which means if it was something else you asked to your classroom, you can have people just respond, your student just respond, and automatically you see their response on the screen, and it's beautiful to look at, and it's very feasible and very visible to everybody the moment they respond. So somebody responded with a hi and nice to be here. Now, another beautiful thing is if you respond with something that is already on screen, you would see that particular thing pop up more. So for instance, somebody hi. So imagine if I was to go in also and Imagine if I also went in and I also said hi. I say, I can see Joy. So I type in Joy and I submit. Can you see? Let's give it a moment. Okay, let me try again. Hi. Okay. Okay, so I've responded already. Close it. All right. So this is very useful when it comes to presentation. We can do different types of presentation. We can show it in the class. We could have them respond, and while they are responding, we can see their response live in different formats. We can view it. We can contribute based on it because it's easy, and now nobody's raising up their hand, nobody's going uncle lie because it's just there on the board. So you can say, oh, I'm enjoying the class. Thank you for this. I can see response. I can see an additional. I can see an Adam. I can see an Abba. I can see an Ali James. I can see nice to be here. I can see Jamie Reyetunde. I can see Uwakwe, I can see Lawan, I can see Bumi, I can see Mubon. If I don't pronounce your name correctly, I apologize. Oh, there's a lot of people who are selecting Joy, and as you can see, Joy is getting bigger. So if you were to select something that's already been selected, it begins to pop up on the screen. So I can see that, oh, the majority of the class are interested in Joy. I mean, even I myself, I want Joy. So this is very beneficial for an engaging classroom. So imagine engaging with your students like this. Imagine this was something else. Imagine this is their opinions on, I don't know, maybe why to pay school fees, and somebody can give a response. We paid because the school needs to run. Another person can give a response. Whatever their response is, you can take all those responses, and while you sit on the screen, you guys can discuss it as a classroom, right? And that is the beauty of visualization. It makes classrooms more engaging, then everybody can engage in the classroom, and everybody can, you can look at the feedback, you instantly and understand it without actually going through a lot of stress and a lot of without using up a lot of brain power. So thank you everyone for contributing to this. This was fun, but at the end of the day, all fun we need to put fun to some side at some point, and let's I guess let's resume. So we are basically done. So we have a small group exercise, which is what is the best chart to represent your type of data and why. And looking at the data you have. What does your chart reveal? What is the insight it has, and what type of decisions can you make based on that? And that is it. So like I mentioned, we wouldn't be able to do the break the group work and the rest the way we originally would have done if we had had this in a if we had all been together in the same place. But I really hope you can actually take your time to do this. So thank you very much. And once again, this is from Exquitec Education Technology, the Empowerment Network, the Teachers Cafe, and AI in Pedagogy. Basically, I'm just wearing everybody on the shirt. So once again, thank you all for joining. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for having me. So if you have any questions, please let's hear your question. This I will stop the presentation so I can take your questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick. This was an amazing session. So please, if there's anyone that has a question, you can send your question to the chat board, or you can raise your hand so that we can take the questions. If there's something you want Mr. Patrick to clarify for you. So that will be out of here within the next 10 minutes. In the meantime, if you're not asking a question, can you kindly mute yourself? Mr. Deshina, you asking a question?
Yes, I have a question, please.
Okay, go ahead. We can hear you, Mr. Musa. Good evening.
Please, thank you. And we are very appreciate this kind of virtually training program.
You're
Please,
welcome.
can it be taking place from time to time, or it's just a once program only?
Okay, so Exquitec Empowerment and Teachers Cafe, they've decided to take these trainings once a month. Every last Saturday of the month, we're going to be having different trainers, different topics from different places. So it's going to be every month.
Okay, every morning. That is Saturday of the last.
Every last Saturday of the month. So once a month.
Okay, we will be participating, inshallah. Thank you for this kind of program. We are very
No
interested in
problem, sir. We appreciate this. And if we don't have any question, if there's anybody that would like to make a contribution or tell us what you've learned, just so that we can have something before we leave the call today. Anybody?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
go ahead, please.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. In fact, on behalf of myself and my colleagues, the participants were enjoying the program, and we hope this program will be sustained. In fact, any serious teacher who is well oriented should have passion for this program. We pray that Almighty God will continue to strengthen your effort and knowledge so that you impart more and more onto us. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sir. That was a delight. Thank you so much for this. So the meeting was recorded. Hopefully, you all get the link so that you can rewatch it if you like. And the slides will be shared on the WhatsApp group. So thank you so much, Mr. Patrick, and thank you all for being here. I really do hope that you learned something. We understand how to not just use data virtually than boring people with the numbers and making it more attractive. We also learned the kind of, yes, we'll send the slides. There's no problem. We also had had
daga Lagos,
learned
1 hour
today.
program.
So thank you so much for attending. Have a lovely day and have a good night. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Ms.
Thank
Bumi,
you
thank
so
you
much.
once again.
Thank you. So I'm ending the meeting now. Have a lovely day. You're going to get the slides to the group chat. Thank you.